Hey everyone, welcome back to our weekly tarot spread. I'm trying a little different angle here to see how we like this. I'm also going to go horizontally with our spread today and see if we read it as more of a storyline, more of a progression, how we like that. So make sure to let me know how you like it in that form, if you'd rather look at me or not look at me. Rather just see the cards like I do sometimes. We're going to be changing some things up in 2023. So I'd love to hear what y'all think about this. So let's get started this week. And we'll start with how can we show up for ourselves this week. And we'll start with the Nine of Swords. All right. Next, we have how can we connect to spirit, and we have the Seven of Swords. Next, we have what actions will move us forward this week, and we have the Five of Pentacles. Next, we have how can we better communicate this week, and we've got the Seven of Cups. Next, how can we build more happiness? And we have the Tower. And last but not least, what will strengthen love for us this week? And we have the Page of Wands here. So let me put these here out of the way for you. So, it's interesting as we look at this progression, if we look at it from point A to point B, versus sometimes in other spreads, there's different angles that you can look at them. So now that we're just looking at this as kind of a continuous storyline, makes it a little bit different as we're analyzing the information, right? And so, we start out here with these swords. This is us being in our heads. This is us thinking about things, which is double-edged, right? Double-edged swords, double-edged. And there's lots of options this week. There's lots of change and variation that is happening this week. And so let's just start. Let's just start right in the beginning. I don't want to go into too much as a full story. Let's just start right in the beginning with our Nine of Swords here as we think about how we can show up for ourselves this week. The Nine of Swords is a very difficult card. It's a card that is about worry. It's about us being in our heads. It's about us overthinking situations. It's about sometimes getting so close to the end that we're worried that we're not worthy, that it's not supposed to be for us. And so if you're feeling that way this week, if you're feeling like, I don't know if I can show up anymore because maybe I'm not worth it, maybe there's supposed to be something else, this is meant for someone else, notice that. Notice why you're feeling that way. Notice that you're feeling that way, and then ask yourself, why am I feeling that way? Why am I telling myself I'm not worthy when I've already gotten so far, right? Because that's the real question. That's really the thing that you want to look into is why are you having those feelings like you're not enough when you've already come so far, right? Okay, so next up we've got how can we connect to spirit this week? And we've got here the Seven of Swords. So again, this is about, reflecting on what we've done, the choices that we've made, how far we've come in a lot of ways. And when we think about connecting to spirit, just like the card before it, we can be a little concerned that we haven't done everything we could for other people, that we only got as far as we did because, someone else had to lose out on something. And so similarly to showing up for ourselves, when you start feeling like you're not worthy of being where you are, that you're only here because someone else didn't get these opportunities, again, ask yourself why. Why are you telling yourself that you're not good enough or that you don't deserve these things when you've already come so far, when you've already done so much work, when you have already put in the time and the energy to say to yourself, is this thing for me? Am I supposed to be doing this? Yes, this is mine, right? This is what I'm supposed to be doing. You've already done that. So as you're questioning yourself right now, ask yourself why. Why am I questioning this now when maybe I hadn't so much before? So those two things, again, really is kind of in our heads. We're in our heads with a lot of things. So now I want to look at the next card and what actions will move us forward. And here we have the Five of Pentacles. Now, the tricky thing about this card is it's us on the road to what we're meant for, what we're supposed to be doing, finding our abundance in many ways. And like our swords cards, sometimes we think that we're never going to get there. We've been working so hard for so long. It's not happening yet. Why isn't it happening yet? And we can often bump ourselves off of track because we get to this point where we're asking these questions, where we're doubting our purpose. And I would just say to you that change is necessary and it's inevitable. As we grow, things are going to change. The plans that you had at the beginning of your journey aren't going to be the same, aren't going to look the same as you progress forward. So stop focusing so much on why doesn't this look like I thought it was going to? And start focusing on what can I do? What can I use? What experience have I gained in all of these changes and all the things I've already done? How can I use that to move forward? How can I use that to benefit myself and benefit others? Because we can tell that there's something beautiful coming down the pike. We just have to keep moving towards it. All right. So now we've gotten, halfway through. We're trying to get through some of the stuff in our minds here. And so the next thing is, how can we better communicate this week? And here we have another 7. We have here the 7 of Cups. And this is generally about choices, right? You see all these different options here in the card. There's all these, some things good, some things bad, some things maybe even scary. There are lots of options here. But as we're thinking about how to communicate, how to process through the things that we've already been going through in our head, making some of these choices, how do we communicate that now? There isn't one answer, right? There's lots of ways. There are going to be times when you need to express yourself and it's going to feel scary. There are times that's going to feel really hard. But then there are times where it feels great and you can't shut up about what you're doing and what you want and all the progress that you're making. And I just want you to know that there's no right way. There isn't one way that it's supposed to feel when you're talking about what you're doing. But having all these choices, having all these options mean that you're supposed to be talking about it. You're supposed to be telling people what you're doing. Share that with people. Don't keep it to yourself. There's too many options there, right? Okay, now we're moving to this 5th card, which always feels scary for people. And it can feel heavy and unexpected. But, when we think about how we can build more happiness this week, we have the Tower card here. Now, generally speaking, when I general readings, I just read cards upright. So if you're not sure what that means, there's lots of other videos where I talk about upright versus reverse. So, some people read exclusively everything that's reversed. For me, the energy that comes through is more important and it gives you kind of the pros and cons, right? Versus having to focus on this being reversed. But sometimes I get a feeling when a card is reversed that I should focus maybe a little bit more on what the reversal is. So because this is the card where I asked about how can I build more happiness this week, and it's a Tower card, and you probably think, okay, that card looks like shit's crumbling apart, and that can't possibly feel good. And I guess to some degree that's true. The reversal of the Tower, which is technically how I pulled it, it is about rebuilding. It's about rebuilding after things have fallen apart, right? So the Tower card itself is about recognizing that things, if they haven't already fallen apart, are going to, but in a very necessary way. Things come to an end because they have to. When we see the Death card, it tends to be more natural. It feels a lot easier. The Tower card is more unexpected. It's more like, oh man, I didn't see that coming. Or I didn't recognize that this thing needed to end. Regardless of how you felt it and how you feel it, it is necessary. It's gonna happen, okay? And though it may not feel great at the time, it normally doesn't, once you're able to learn the lesson and understand the necessity of it, then you can truly start to find happiness because these other barriers that were in your way that needed to end aren't there anymore. So when I mentioned that this was in the reversal, when I initially pulled it, and that is about the rebuild, if you find yourself in a space where things have fallen apart, right? And if we look back at the other cards here, it doesn't have to be something like so severe that, someone passed away or, your house burned down or something like that. It doesn't have to be that serious. Sometimes it's these plans that we had, right? These other things that we had going on here that we thought were going to happen. Sometimes when they don't, we get to this, I won't say depressive state, but this sad state where we are questioning everything. Why did I even start this? Who did I even think I was to create this business or try to start this program or things like that? And so if you have gotten to that point, if you've been feeling that energy that, man, I wasted this entire year, I didn't do any of the things I wanted to do, I didn't show up the way that I expected to. If you've been feeling this year or recently that all the decisions you made were wrong and nothing is the way that you wanted it to be, I'll tell you that's not true. There are so many lessons that are in what didn't work, right? Focus on that a little bit more. But here, when we think about happiness, stop thinking about happiness in terms of everything going your way, everything going the way that you thought it was supposed to go, because that's not real. That's not life, okay? Shit goes the way that it's going to go. Happiness comes from finding the joy in that, being able to step back and say, wow, I didn't see that coming, but man, I can see where I can go with it. So spend more time focusing on what good can come from what you've created or from what has happened or even from what has fallen apart. Okay, now that was a long answer, but okay. And then lastly, we're going to end here with what will strengthen love this week. And we have the Page of Wands. So this is about active discovery. This is about taking the time to go outside, engage with other people, engage with outside, engage with the world and do a little exploring. Ask a bunch of questions. Think about life like you were a little kid who never saw things before, never asked questions before. And really spend some time seeing what you enjoy, right? See what makes you smile. Don't worry about trying to figure it all out. Stop trying to figure out the pressures of work and relationships and people and all of that. And really just spend some time looking around and saying, wow, I really enjoy this. I really like this. This thing really makes me happy or makes me smile. Focus on that more, right? Because that's what love is. That's the basis of what love is, understanding and feeling the sensations of what feels really good to you, right? Wonderful. So this feels good. It feels like this week might start out a little heavy, but if you take the lessons, if you focus on the energy, you'll be able to get through and understand the lessons that are happening, even if they feel a little bit tough. It's leading us up to Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, which will be our next video on Sunday. But take the time this week to really just ask yourself a lot of questions, right? And really get to the root of what's happening and why you're thinking about and feeling some of the things that you're feeling, because you've been doing amazing work and I don't want you to stop. So let me know what you think about this. I love hearing from y'all so much, and stay magical, y'all.